Story 1. Am I the a-hole refusing to pay my rent until my sister does? Background. I graduated from college 4 years ago and live at home with my parents. My sister graduated 2 years ago and also lives with my parents. We both got jobs pretty much straight out of college. I have to pay my parents $800 per month in rent since my first paycheck. This is a throwaway and it's still fresh, and I'm really emotionally charged right now. Last night, my parents were talking loudly about their financial problems in the living room. I overheard and offered to help by paying more in rent. I was thinking $900 to $1,000 since it covers utilities, phone, and internet. My parents were grateful. Now, prior to this, I never asked how much she pays in rent. I always figured my parents charged us the same, so absentmindedly I asked a follow-up question. How much is my sister paying for rent? My mom. Nothing. A long but pause. What do you mean she doesn't pay rent? My dad, visibly angry, your sister doesn't pay an effing thing. My dad explained how my sister recently bought a brand new car and hasn't paid insurance on it, so my dad had to pay for it. She doesn't pay rent, she doesn't pay utilities, phone, or anything, so for the past 2 years, she's been living rent-free while I've been paying my parents. So later that night, we had a family sit-down talk. My sister didn't want to pay rent, especially at how much I was paying. She offered $100. My parents suggested she pay $300. I pay $800, which my sister and I both rejected. The conversation ended with this. Sister, F you, I'm trying to live my life. These were her exact words, which peed me the F off to holy hell. So my sister storms off to her room, and it's now me, my parents in the living room. I'm extremely upset at this because it's massively unfair. My mom is upset that everyone's angry at each other, and my dad's angry my sister won't pay rent, and she won't move out, and both my parents don't want the police involved. So, I say my part before leaving. I'm not gonna pay any more rent until she does. It's only fair, right? And if I do pay rent, I'm paying whatever she's been. But what if she pays $300 and you pay $800? No. But we really need the money. That's too bad. I get up and go off to my room. So this morning my dad comes in and tells me that I'm an a-hole for not paying rent, that I should pay rent because it's the right thing to do and all this crap. I'm like, what the hell? Make my sister pay rent. My mom, who's listening in, you've seen her, she won't listen to us. Well, that's too bad. My mom, really angry, well, we wouldn't have this problem if you didn't try to make your sister pay rent. That was the last straw that blew it for me. I slammed the door on my parents. As I'm typing this, my parents are in the living room discussing how both their children are rotten and crap was better back in the home country, back in their day when kids listened to their parents. Like, what the F? There's so many layers to what's going on here, and I really don't know how to address it. Like, first off, I feel bad for the parents having to, support their now adult daughter without getting any sort of compensation, which I assume they were hoping that they would at this point, especially now that the dad's helping to pay for her car and stuff. Like, she's an adult, I'm sorry, and their finances seem kind of tight, so it's not really okay on her part. But it's also not okay for them to be charging their son and just let her get away with it for 2 years and then suddenly expect her to. That feels kind of crappy, but also, I don't know how these parents prepped their kids for life. What did they teach them about finances and responsibility and whatnot? Did they fail at that point? And what about society and its expectations about people getting kicked out on their own and breaking apart family units? Maybe generations should live together. Maybe, I don't know. There's just so much going on here. I don't have anything great to say. I feel bad for a lot of folks involved. I can understand why the poster is refusing to pay rent. It is only fair, but I do also feel bad for the parents, but not really. I don't know. This is confusing. Next story. Story 2. My first personal encounter with Karen. I'm a locksmith by trade, and the job requires me to be up on ladders fixing doors and locks and whatever else is broken on a door. I was working on the main entrance door to a large second-hand store. Sometimes I have to block off an entryway to fix a door, and if I do, I always try to find another option for customers to enter and exit the building. I opened an emergency exit door off to the right, maybe 10 feet away of where I was working, to make sure there was a door they could use. I'm working away, minding my own business, up on my ladder, listening to my audiobook on my Bluetooth headset, when entitled Karen and child walk towards me. Excuse me, I need to get into the store. Well, this entry is out of order right now, but I need it now. You can't block the door. Yes, well, if you let me finish what I was saying, you need to move out of my way. Me getting annoyed. There's a door over there. You can go there. No, this is closer. Look, stop bothering me and go over there. This is when Karen takes things to the next level, and by the next level, I mean she gets arrested. Karen had none of my yelling at her. She grabs her son by the wrist, who has been standing by saying nothing, and tries to climb under my ladder while I'm on it. Her large purse caught on the side rung of my ladder and pulled it over, sending me, my tools, and the motor of the handicap operator I was working on smashing to the ground. I fell on my shoulder, breaking my collarbone and dislocating my shoulder. The motor hit the ground and shattered, and the ladder fell on her and her son. The cashier, who saw the whole thing through the window, rushed over to see if I was okay. I said no, something was broken, a bit in shock, called the police and an ambulance. They arrived, and the police take statements, and I tell them I want to press charges before I was loaded up in the ambulance and taken to the hospital. The kid's father came to get the kid, who was not hurt thankfully, and she was taken away in handcuffs. No word yet on a court date or anything. Since then, I've been off work, in pain, all because Karen wanted some second-hand crap. Edit. Thanks so much for all your support, and yes, I see the typo. I'll update all this crap is over. You guys are great. Edit. Update. So, a lot has happened for Karen. I'm not going into too much detail, but I'll give a short Cole's Notes version. First off, I've been at home resting and healing, and my boss was nice enough to pay me my full wages when I'm off instead of what the insurance board would have paid me. I'm very grateful to work for someone who respects and cares for his workers. As for Karen, her bail was posted last week, and she's been ordered to stay with her mother until the court date. This has become a full criminal matter. She has been charged with 1 to 2 counts of assault with a weapon causing bodily harm, 2, 1 count of child endangerment, 3, 1 count of harassment, and if convicted, order to pay damages for all broken property. Also, she's facing 8 years in prison for all of this. Her husband has filed for divorce, and the child has been given to his father's custody with an order she is not to see him without the supervision of a child services agent and at least 1 police officer. I want to say, though, I feel really bad for Karen and her family. Karen ruined her life and tore her family apart. A little life lesson to everyone out there. Just be nice to people who are trying to do their job and have a good attitude. Otherwise, you could lose everything. Update. Sunday, October 20th, 2019. Nothing much has changed legally or anything, but I'm feeling a bit better, enough that I can go to work and just do some paperwork at a desk or something. I'm going stir-crazy sitting at home. My clavicle still hurts like a bee if I move a certain way or too quickly, but I can manage at a desk. I've been off nearly 3 weeks, and it's time to not mope at home. Thanks, folks. Update, it's over. Court dates and lawyers are finished. It's been a long road. First, Karen has been charged and officially sentenced. $30,000 in damages, including medical costs, 4 years in federal prison, 2 years probation. Her son is scared of her. Her family didn't even show up to the sentencing hearing. I'm happy, I'm healed, and feeling good now. That is extreme for what she did, but at the same time, she could have potentially killed this person. Like, what she did was extremely reckless and entitled, but not just to a point of being annoying, but like endangering people, endangering her kid at that point. I don't know if time in like 4 years in federal prison is a just thing for her attitude or not. I mean, it kind of feels like it, but I don't know. I'd be interested in what other people have to say, their thoughts on all this kind of stuff. But I mean, the person makes a good point. It really is just easier to be nice, be patient and understanding. I mean, be willing to walk 10 feet over to another entrance or something. I mean, it's not that hard to not get so upset with people for such minor inconveniences. Just next time you start feeling, getting a little worked up, Karen, just take a breath. Story 3. The HOA is the hero this time. I have one incredible "the HOA isn't the a-hole in this case" story. My dad is African American and went on a walk around the community park around 3 in the afternoon. He was wearing jeans, a polo, etc. Someone who had recently moved in, maybe only 2 weeks, sent an email to the president of the HOA because they were unable to attend the meeting. They said they had a photo of a suspicious person who had been obviously casing people's houses to rob them, and included photos of my dad. The president of the HOA emailed back that they were very concerned after seeing the photos and would stop by her house to discuss the issue in person. They scheduled a time to talk and come up with safety strategies. My dad is the president of the HOA. He said the look on her face when she opened the door was priceless. He then proceeded to discuss the issue with her like she hadn't emailed a picture of him, asking her, "Now, why did you feel concerned for your safety? And what about him made you think this man was a threat?" She didn't send any more complaints. I know I've ranted about HOAs on this channel before, and I'm certainly still not going to be a fan of them after this, but yeah, I'll say in this case, for once, the HOA, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole at all. In fact, I kind of appreciate the HOA president. Sounds like a stand-up guy, going out there and protecting the community from these suspicious people. Good job, Mr. President. You've served your community well. Story 4. Ex-husband can't seem to get over me. So, I dated a girl long distance for a year back in 2010. We broke up rather amicably, or so I thought. Her new boyfriend, now her husband, called me about a month later telling me that she had been seeing him behind my back and that she never really loved me, etc. Personally, I laughed it off. I knew the relationship wasn't going anywhere and I had been looking for an easy out for months. Being long distance made it much easier, but apparently it made him feel good about himself. Fast forward a few years, they're married and he's traveling for work, which included a layover in my city. He posted something about me from the airport and tagged a mutual friend of mine, so I saw the post. Something along the lines of, "Mr. Steal Your Girl is back in your city." I know it was about me because the friend he tagged asked what he was talking about and he mentioned me. Apparently he's made several posts like this, both before and after I saw this one. I haven't seen or talked to either my ex or him for about a month after calling me years ago, during which there were several petty interactions. However, the fact I was still on his mind after a few years, thinking that he had won some sort of competition against me, got my petty revenge thoughts brewing. I mean, he thinks it's a petty competition, so why not step up to the plate and take a few metaphorical swings? So, in this occurrence, I looked through his socials and noticed they were living in my ex's house, so I knew the address. I also knew that you can sign people up to be visited by Jehovah's Witnesses. Fast forward another few months, there's a new post about him having to deal with Jehovah's Witnesses coming to his door 8 times in a month. I mean, in the grand scheme of petty revenge and stuff like that, that's pretty mild. Not saying that it wasn't a good call. I mean, boy oh boy, 8 visits from the JWs in just 1 month. That would be enough to even bother me, and I'm usually actually pretty okay seeing people like that, you know? I usually have a brief, nice conversation with them. I try and be understanding, because I feel like they're unfortunately, misguided, but probably good-intentioned people. But if I had 8 of them in a month, I would probably almost resort to screaming by the end, just like, why? Why do you think I need to know about the Watchtower so much? I know the good news! I know the good news! Stop! Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.